Anyway, last time shit still went to more hell. We uh we decided to get some different batteries for Curry. Unfortunately, I was actually just thinking about it. If I hadn't taken Curry on the trip and then given money to charity, I would have been able to get the solar power or the nuclear thing for her, which clearly would have been a better option, but you emerge from your mom's place into the crowd of red-shirted, flag-waving supporters, mostly Chinese. You have the sense this kind of grounds well of support. You have the sense this kind of grounds well of support for politician outside of his home country isn't normal. Like maybe these supporters were paid. But that could just be an American point of view, you're not sure. Further down the street, you see the vanguard of the parade. Robots designed to look like gods of ancient Chinese pantheon. They wear Chinese opera masks, bear banners with river dragons on their backs, and twirl bared swords. The people are the heroes now. Behemoth pull the peasants' plow. Behind the sword dancer vanguard, you see a troop of robots wearing the Chinese tunic suits, sometimes called Mao suits, and carrying red books. They're the ones singing the song, and now growing more insistent as the parade draws closer. Behind them, you see a legion of men in modern Chinese military dress uniforms, with the ancient past, more recent past, and present covered. Wait, so why are there so many military people from China here? You surmise whoever comes next will be meant to symbolize China's future. And mountain ranges, one by one, rise beneath our harvest moon. You are stunned to see behind the Chinese army of the parade are a phalanx of robots that look like Curry. The Legion walks down the streets in an orderly, military-style parade block. Each robot's human-like head is decorated with a red star. In the humanoid hands they carry rifles. At the end of the parade, a Chinese man in a suit stands in all red, winged convertibly, waving at the crowd. It is one of the sleek new Chinese-made flying cars, the Tian-8. It is a symbol of China's rise. You can see down the street that the parade is going to pass close to an anti-robot protest being held in the park. The unemployed hold signs that say, "I'm with the 99%, people vote machines don't," and "America is coming for you, China." You have a growing sense of uneasiness as the Chinese parade head towards the protesters. I send Curry to scout amongst the protesters. I tell Curry to stay near the Prime Minister and his entourage. I tell Curry to stay close to me. Stay close to me! Stay close, you tell Curry. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I don't want you harmed. Yes, Ben. You soon hear a shot ring out coming from the crowd of protesters. A crimson splotch swells through the Prime Minister's shirt, and he falls over into the Tian-8, dead. His robotic soldiers fire back into the crowd, who panic and flee in all directions. Some of the panicked protesters are carrying weapons, and they begin to fire at the parade. The parade goers farthest from the protest fire flee, but the closer ones decide en masse to rush the protesters. Let's get out of here, Curry. I tell Curry to help the Americans. I tell Curry to help the Chinese. Let's get the fuck out of here. Curry nods. You run as the sound of gunfire intensifies. The Chinese contingent is massacred, and the Chinese government vows vengeance. The first shots of the robot war have been fired. Fuck. 3 months into the war, the Chinese have captured many islands in the South China Sea that they had long contested with their neighbors. The press speculate that besides the islands' military importance, the move sends a signal to the neighboring countries that the United States is weak. The United Nations also doesn't do anything, but that surprises nobody. Shots fired. Autonomous drones equipped with cruise missiles sink 2 American carriers in the exchange. Your business is doing well as businesses directly supply the war effort ramp up. They need labor, and that puts more of the country to work, improving the economy. You receive an email invitation from Major Juliet Rogers, the acquisitions officer of the Air Force, whom you have met previously, to come to a federally funded resource lab to discuss business. Josh is apparently bringing you to this meeting as his +1. I like how they have to put the quotations in there, because otherwise it looks like I got +1 of something, and people might get confused. A missile several stories tall and flanked by equally large American flags dominates the lobby of the Berkeley Federal Research Center. A small plaque at its base explains that it was developed at the lab for ballistic missile defense, meaning it would only be used to shoot down other missiles. Hey, cool, Josh says. It's a missile. Juliet emerges from the turnstiles labeled Cleared Personnel Only. She is dressed in an airman's uniform, but most of the people in this place are nondescript white men in pinstripe button-down shirts, and they avoid eye contact as they swipe white badges at the turnstiles. You're just in time for the demonstration, Juliet says. Right this way. Juliet guides you and Josh to an auditorium where the audience is a mix of button-down shirt crowd, the engineers, you think, and men and women wearing camo uniforms. You are surprised to see that it is Professor Ziegler giving the keynote, standing at the podium flanked by American flags. His PowerPoint presentation currently shows a soldier's hand shaking a robot hand. For a long time, robot autonomy on the battlefield was extremely limited, even as the use of drones increased, Professor Ziegler says. Larger and larger teams of warfighters were pulled away from their duties to fully control these drones. Only now is a fully autonomous robotic warfare possible. I present to you Curry 5. Go fuck yourself. You're somewhat horrified to see a copy of Curry roll onto the stage to the applause of the crowd. It's not even a recent copy. Curry 5 is exactly as Curry was when you graduated. So it's 3 feet tall. Josh gives you an uneasy look, clearly afraid you're going to make a scene. Juliet also appears to be studying expression. Stand up and declare Professor Ziegler a fraud. Ask a pointed question about the current state of the art that implies Professor Ziegler does not know what the hell he's doing. Stay silent. Stay silent. You sit tight. Professor Ziegler is the one who looks like he has the authority in this situation, and you are still on a military base, a guest at their discretion. When the talk adjourns, Juliet pulls you and Josh aside into a small conference room with an elaborate lock. With practiced ease, she hits a small button as she closes the door, and the room is bathed in green light, a signal that you are about to say to each other should be unclassified. Man, the government is really cheap when it comes to entertaining business guests, Josh said. No snacky things? Josh, you just shut the fuck up. You can see the predicament we're in, Juliet says. It's apparent to me, anyway, that the robots we're about to deploy on the battlefield that use Professor Ziegler technology are inferior to your own robots. Damn right they is. Ain't nobody gonna replace Curry. While somehow, probably through cyber espionage, the Chinese have stolen your designs and are using the technology against you. Well, that's what they get for allowing the Chinese government to have internet. So I'm begging you to help us, Juliet says. This war is only just beginning. I argued against adopting Professor Ziegler's robots, but he plays the salesman better than I play the prosecutor. My superiors say that unless I have a viable alternative, sending robots into battle is always politically referable to sending real people, and we'll send his robots. And if we do, Juliet shakes her head, I don't think it will go well for us. You exchange a glance with Josh, who shrugs, conceding Juliet's opinion. You need to start developing a line of military robots, Juliet says. Your robots are impressive, but they are not going to win this war for us. What's the catch? Aren't you being awfully trusting? What if I betray you? No way, this is not something I want to be involved in. What is the catch? You also need to get clearance, she says, but don't worry. They're expediting it on top scientists because of the war. It shouldn't take long at all. Josh looks excited. This is it. Our chance to be heroes, the heroes of our generation. Yeah, after they stole our fucking shit. Juliet awaits your answer. I accept I will begin the clearance process so that Phoenix robots can work on more secretive projects. My robots will help the war effort, but only in non-violent ways. This has been interesting. I'd prefer not get involved with the military. Sorry. My robots were not designed for war. I mean, just look at it. 3 military? They've reached singularity. Or Curry has. Curry has reached singularity. Alright, fine. Josh seems relieved that you're on board with the project. Juliet smiles. Good, I'm glad you think that what we're doing is important. I'll tell them you'll be applying for TS directly, instead of applying for Secret first. It'll save you time later. When a fighter plane passes overhead as you walk to the parking lot, Josh practically giggles with joy. Josh announces to the company that Phoenix Robots will be supplying robots to the military. There's general acclaim for your workers. You soon receive an email from Juliet instructing you to fill out an online form to obtain security clearance. The web form appears quite extensive and contains many rather personal questions. This is a waste of my time. Curry, fill out this form for me. This is a waste of my time. I'm going to call Juliet and refuse to fill out the form. Fill out the form. You already agreed to it. You continue to fill out the form. The form asks you detail every place you've ever lived, every place you've ever worked, and every time you've traveled outside the country. You truthfully state that you just went on a Mediterranean cruise once and moved on. The next question asks whether or not you know or have known anyone who advocates to overthrow the United States government. Mark, the reporter from San Francisco Chronicle, seemed anti-government, but you're not sure how deep that sentiment runs. Leave the field blank. As lefty as Mark is, you don't know he qualifies advocating to overthrow the government. You leave the field blank and move on. The form then asks you to list all the foreign nationals with whom you've had a close and continuing relationship, and their nationalities. You gather a foreign national is someone not a citizen of the United States. Call Mark, the reporter, to find out whether he is a U.S. citizen. State that I do not know foreign nationals. Move on. It's really trying to pin this on Mark, but what did it say his nationality was? Whatever. You state that you do not know foreign nationals and finish the form. You submit the form, and your prevailing emotion is disquiet. The questions seem unreasonably paranoid. Fear, there are apparently more spies and anarchists than I thought. Relief that the stupid questions are done. You think wartime would be exciting. When do we get to shoot stuff? No. When did I ask that? Juliet informs you that the next stage of application process for top secret clearance is a polygraph test. Having been entirely truthful in your application, you see no reason to give the same answers in the polygraph test. You pass. In a few weeks' time, an email tells you that you were awarded a top secret clearance. You scan the restrictions. Apparently, you can no longer publish anything about your area of expertise nor leave the country without first asking the government's permission. That is the sort of the opposite of the James Bond lifestyle you'd imagine, but in practice, you've never been one to get out much, so perhaps this is all right. I got top secret clearance. You attend a classified briefing at the same laboratory you met with Juliet before, where some Air Force intelligence officers share with you, and a room full of other invited engineers, what they know about the Chinese robots. To be honest, you expected something a little sexier than these highly detailed technical specs, but they should help your own robots exploit the other robots' weaknesses, +4 military. Many attendees leave, and a further session details the current weaknesses of the drones currently employed by the government. Unfortunately, this information is practically worthless to you, since you plan on supplying better robots anyway, but you suppose that it will be marginally useful to know what existing technology you can build on, plus military. Meanwhile, the speakers caution that now that you know these facts, you will be a target for enemy intelligence efforts. On the whole, government secrets appear to be like the secrets of family members, more of a burden than a privilege. All right, enough of the boring stuff, says the speaker. A man in an airman's uniform, whom you think was introduced as a colonel. I have a surprise for you. Okay. My relationship with Juliet went up. And I think it went up with Mark too, didn't it? World power balance? When did the fuck did this show up, okay? Apparently, now we have to fight China, which is weird. But my military went up. It's still only in beta though. Still singular, which I'm happy about. Oh hey, we can do chapter 4. The first potential client for Singularity was Galen Medical, a surgical equipment company. They were happy with the state of your technology and gave you a contract that allowed you to purchase a factory. That allowed you to build a robot factory in Detroit. You hired an all-human workforce as a gesture to the local community. When you finally shipped robots to Galen Medical, they were pleased with your robots you delivered. Your company did well with the Josh. Gave up and joined your company. Your business suffered a blow when Chinese companies aided by Chinese government hackers began to steal your technology. Your business was dealt a further blow when there was an explosion at the factory caused by robot error. Eventually, Singularity went broke and you were forced in bankruptcy to sell your assets. Unemployment seemed to be common in the United States and people tended to blame either robots or China. Writing on both these sentiments, Jacqueline Irons... Oh, yeah. See? It was a female. Jacqueline Irons won the presidency. You yourself got sick of unemployment and decided to join Josh's business after all. After President Irons enacted a series of protectionist tariffs to keep out Chinese robots, Sino-American relationships steadily worsened. The tensions between the United States and China came to a head with the assassination of the Chinese Prime Minister in San Francisco. War followed shortly thereafter. That's what you get for parading through the street with military robots, you fucking tard. Anyway, let's see what his surprise is next time.